I was late for school that morning and was afraid of getting scolded, especially because my teacher, Monsieur Hamel, had said that he would question us on participles, and I didn't know a word about them. For a moment, I thought of running away and spending the day outdoors. It was so warm, so bright. The birds were chirruping at the edge of the woods, and in the open fields behind the sawmill, the Prussian soldiers were drilling. It was all much more tempting than the rule of participles. But I resisted and hurried off to school. When I passed the town hall, there was a crowd in front of the bulletin board. 2 years, all our news had come from there. The lost battles, the draft, the orders of the commanding officer. And I thought to myself, what can be the matter now? The blacksmith, Wachter, who was there with his apprentice, called for me.
Don't go so fast, bub. You'll get to your school in plenty of time.
I thought he was making fun of me. I reached Monsieur Hamel's garden all out of breath. Usually when school began, there was a great bustle which could be heard out in the street. The opening and closing of desks, lessons repeated in unison, very loud, with our hands over our ears to understand better, and the teacher's ruler hitting on the table. But now it was all so still. I had relied on the noise to get to my desk without being seen. But of course that day everything had to be as quiet as Sunday morning. Through the window I saw my classmates already in their places and Monsieur Hamel walking up and down. I had to open the door and go in before everybody. You can imagine how embarrassed and frightened I was. But nothing happened.
Go to your place quickly, little friends. We were beginning without you.
I sat down at my desk. When I got over my fright, I saw that Monsieur Hamel had on his beautiful green coat, his frilled shirt, and the little black silk cap that he never wore except on inspection and prize days. Besides, the whole school seemed so strange and serious. But the thing that surprised me most was on the back benches that were always empty. The village people were sitting quietly like ourselves. Old Hauser with his 3-cornered hat, the former mayor, the former postmaster, and several others. Everybody looked sad, and Hauser had brought an old primer.
Primer, a basic learning book for children.
Open on his knees, with his great spectacles lying across the pages. While I was wondering about it all, Monsieur Hamel sat on his chair.
My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive.
What a thunderclap these words were to me. Oh, the wretches! That was what they had put up at the town hall.
Wretches, cruel people. Here he is referring to the Prussians, who put that notice on the bulletin board.
This order was a direct consequence of the Franco-Prussian War. Our districts of Alsace and Lorraine had been annexed by Germany. My last French lesson. Why? I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn any more. I must stop there then. Oh, how sorry I was for not learning my lessons, for seeking birds' eggs or going sliding on the Saar. My books that had seemed such a nuisance a while ago, so heavy to carry. My grammar and my history of the saints were old friends now that I couldn't give up. And Monsieur Hamel too. The idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler and how cranky he was. Poor man. It was in honour of this last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday clothes. And now I understood why the old men of the village were sitting there in the back. It was because they were sorry too that they had not gone to school more. It was their way of thanking our master for his 40 years of faithful service, and of showing their respect for the country that was no more theirs.
Franz.
It was my turn to answer. I wished so much that I could say that terrible rule of participles loud and clear and without a single mistake. But I got mixed up at the first words, and just stood there holding my desk, my heart beating and not daring to look up.
I won't scold you, little Franz. You must feel bad enough. See how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, "Bah, I've plenty of time. I'll learn it tomorrow." And now you see where we've come out. Ah, that's the great trouble with Alsace. She puts off learning till tomorrow. Now those fellows out there will have the right to say to you, "How is it? You pretend to be Frenchmen, and yet you can neither speak nor write your own language." But you're not the worst, poor little Franz. We all have a lot to blame ourselves for. Your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. They preferred to put you to work on a farm or at the mills, so as to have a little more money. And I've been to blame also. Have I not often sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your lessons? And when I wanted to go fishing, did I not just give you a holiday?
Then, from one thing to another, Monsieur Hamel went on to talk of the French language, saying that it was the most beautiful language in the world. The clearest, the most logical.
That we must guard it among us and never forget it. Because when a people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language it is, as if they had the key to their prison.
Then he opened a grammar and read us our lesson. I was amazed to see how well I understood it. All he said seemed so easy, so easy. I think, too, that I had never listened so carefully, and that he had never explained everything with so much patience. It seemed almost as if the poor man wanted to give us all he knew before going away and to put it all into our heads at one stroke. After the grammar, we had a lesson in writing. That day, Monsieur Hamel had new copies for us, written in a beautiful round hand. France, Alsace. France, Alsace. They looked like little flags floating everywhere in the schoolroom. Everyone set to work, and it was very quiet. The only sound was the scratching of the pens over the paper. Once some beetles flew in, but nobody paid any attention to them, not even the littlest ones who were writing their alphabets. On the roof, the pigeons cooed very low, and I thought to myself, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? Whenever I looked up from my writing, I saw Monsieur Hamel sitting, motionless, gazing first at one thing, then at another, as if he wanted to fix in his mind just how everything looked in that little schoolroom. For 40 years he had been there in the same place, with his garden outside the window, and his class in front of him, just like that. Only the desks and benches had been worn smooth. The walnut trees in the garden were taller, and the hop vine that he had planted himself twisted about the windows to the roof. How it must have broken his heart to leave it all, poor man. To hear his sister in the room above, packing their trunks, for they must leave the country next day. But he had the courage to hear every lesson to the very last. After the writing, we had a lesson in history, and then the babies chanted their ba, be, bee, bo, boo. Down there at the back of the room, old Hauser had put on his spectacles and, holding his primer in both hands, spelled the letters with them. You could see that he too was crying. His voice trembled with emotion, and it was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh and cry at the same time. Ah, how well I remember it. That last lesson. All at once the church clock struck 12. Then the Angelus. At the same moment the trumpets of the Prussians, returning from drill, sounded under our windows. I never saw him look so tall.
My friends, I
Something choked him. He could not go on. Then he turned to the blackboard, took a piece of chalk, and bearing on with all his strength, he wrote as large as he could. Vive la France, which means, long live France. Then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall. And without a word, he made a gesture to us with his hand. School is dismissed. You may go.